Now, Minister-designate for Trade and Industry, Katie Hammond, has fought back claims by the NDC MPs on the appointment committee that he was fingered for wrongdoing in the sale of Ghana's drill ship in the early 2000s. Now, the controversial sale of the state asset resulted in a commission of inquiry, which the minority has been saying that they found the minister-designate guilty for what happened in the sale of that ship.
And so it was decided that a commission to be put in place to investigate all these corruption allegations and all of that and all of that. Speaker, from nowhere, a decision was made that a single transaction which went back 12 years, which was the sale of so not entirely the sale, but the transaction in respect of the drill ship, be added to the commission's deliberations. I was invited to attend when the what we call the Apple Committee, Mr. Speaker, was put in place. I attended. My brother Dabucho was there. My then minister at the time who was involved with this was also there, Kandapa. But I was at the center of it, so it was fair that questions were put at me. Now, Mr. Chairman, I put it to everybody here. When is it that anybody in recorded history heard that a deputy minister of 3 months at post sells a state asset like a ship? 3 months. We went to the ministry, I think about April or so. This thing took place about June, July. 3 months. Cabinet met. What had happened was that the GMPC that I talked about, Mr. Speaker, had been run aground. It's going to be lengthy. I want to explain it so the whole country understands. Mr. Speaker, somehow a decision had been consciously made by the GMPC outfit at the time that they were going to involve in what they call hedging. For all those around who know about the commercial transactions and whatever, Mr. Speaker, hedging is a kind of gamble.
Now, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with details from Katie Hammond's vetting. Kweku, what plan did Katie Hammond detail to push government's one district, one factory?
Indeed, in his opinion, the one district, one factory program that government has so far put forward is an ambitious program that will revitalize Ghana's economy. Indeed, he said that he was scandalized to learn that Ghana was importing some kinds of products which he did not believe should be the case. And so he believes that being in office, if he's approved, despite the minority saying they will not approve him, is going to ensure that what had already been started is continued.
Now, we know the minorities, none of these new minister-designates will receive the support. There were questions to Katie Hammond about the size of government. What was his response?
He says that questions of that sort has to go to the president. Indeed, there was one question that was asked by James Agaga. Mahamayaga also asked one later. What he said was to give the address of Jubilee House and said that if these MPs are concerned about the size of government, he is not the one supposed to answer that, and that ultimately they can go to the president and he'll give them audience.
Katie Hammond, the perception is that the size of government is humongous, it's big. It's so big, given the financial situation now. Do you not think that the president should be reducing the number of ministers that he has now? Is that what you do? Do you not think? If you don't think so, fine, you can say it. But that's my question. Do you think that the size of government is big and therefore we should be reducing the number of ministerial appointments that we have?
Mr. Chairman, it's a point he makes. I think it would be a good idea that the president hears of this.
And do you think, I'm supposed to ask 3 questions. This is my 3rd question. The minority takes a position that the president ought not to have made additional appointments, but that he should have realigned and reassigned existing ministers to occupy ministerial portfolios such as the one that you seek to occupy now. Do you have a view on our position?
To start with, I don't know your position, and I'm not so sure I can have a view on it because I don't know what your position is. I am called here to be vetted because the president has nominated me for a position as Minister for Trade and Industry. I'm not sure if in the discussions that has just gone on there, you suggest that this portfolio should have been reconfigured or aligned with any other ministry. I'm not so sure that's the point you're making.
Some members of the committee did not take it kindly that Katie Hammond was pretty relaxed.
Indeed, when the committee hearing started, there was some
Now that I'm still on with my colleague Kweku Asante, who's joining us from Parliament for us to do it. But Katie Hammond and his behavior at the committee earlier got the minority members on the committee to, Kweku, I'm trying to find out from you what the response of Katie Hammond was when the minority weren't too happy that he was pretty relaxed.
Indeed, when the hearing started, there were some jovial takes here and there, and the minority chief whip Gavin Kwame Abuja together with Mama Eriga did not take kindly to that. In their words, Katie Hammond was there at the committee to joke, and they were not there to joke.
Mr. Chairman, the nominee must realize that he's before a serious committee. You can do whatever you do with us outside the sitting of the committee. When you come before the committee and you're on national television and everybody is viewing, you must take us serious. I'm asking a question. Let me finish asking the question. And if you have an answer, you can give your answer. If you tell the whole country that you've not been paying attention to the papers that have been given to you, it's up to you.
Mr. Chairman,
we are working on your nomination, and you are interjecting and directing everybody.
It's me. I'm supposed to regulate the meeting. So if I'm failing, I'll take responsibility. Please proceed with your question. That's it.
The question I have,
I wanted to repeat what Honorable Ayariga said. At the time of our country, where people are in real difficulty making ends meet, I'm of the view that the nominee is very affable, and we all know. But when you are about to take, at least as the president wished, a position as a trade minister, you need to put up a posture that is more serious than being friendly to us.
I thought, please, Honorable, please, I think it's my fault.
Now, at the start of the vetting, though, Katie Hammond had a warning for the committee members to be of good behavior.
As soon as he took his seat, the first thing he said was that he expects the committee members to be of good behavior and that he will also be of good behavior. These were some of the things that culminated in the minority MPs thinking that he was not taking the committee serious. Listen.
This has been the class prefect, the senior prefect. I would expect members to put up their best behavior. I will put up my very best behavior, and then we'll get into that. I have the class prefect in the chair, so I still remain the class prefect, so it should be well behaved.
Now, Kweku, we understand there's been some changes in the appointment committee, especially on the part of the minority. Run us through that.
So, Brace, that shake-up in the minority leadership in Parliament has also resulted in some changes to the appointment committee and other standing committees of Parliament. As the vetting goes on, people who are very familiar with the appointment committee will notice that two particular key persons are missing from the committee, especially from the minority side. The former minority chief whip, Muntaka Mubarak, isn't there. The former minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, also isn't there. So the changes that came from the NDC in Parliament has also resulted in some shake-up in some of these committees. And only last week, Parliament approved some rejigging to the committees. And so Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka Mubarak are no longer members of the appointment committees. They've been reassigned to other committees, and their spots have now been taken by the new minority leader, Dr. Kiesel Atuforsen, and Minority Chief Whip Gavin Kwame Agboja.
Well, let's still stay in Parliament, because another showdown is expected in the House in the coming days as the NDC minority vow to reject the latest ministerial appointment made by President Akufo-Addo. Now, Minister-designate for Trade and Industry, Katie Hammond, and the Minister-designate for Agric, Brian Achampon, were vetted by the Appointment Committee Monday. What is happening now is that of the Chieftaincy Minister-designate. Now, the NDC, in a statement over the weekend, urged its caucus to reject the latest nominees. The statement reads in part that the NDC has long expressed concern over the very large size of the current government and shares the view of the most Ghanaians, including civil society, that it must be reduced, bearing in mind the current massive economic mess the country has been plunged into by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Despite numerous appeals, President Akufo-Addo has quite characteristically remained adamant and tone-deaf. The leadership of the NDC has, against this backdrop, directed the minority caucus in Parliament not to approve any of the new ministerial nominees and to further push for a reduction in the size of government with a view of reducing the needless drain on scarce public resources. In this moment of haircut, the most important thing the government can do is to do a government haircut. Our directive to the minority in Parliament, we believe strongly, aligns with the genuine sentiment of most Ghanaians. Enough is enough, and it's signed by Honorable Fifi Kwete, General Secretary of the NDC. Now, addressing journalists in Parliament Monday, Minority Leader Dr. Kiesel Atuforsen said their side will be carrying through this directive from their party.
A couple of weeks ago, the President announced names of nominees for ministerial appointment. The vetting commenced this morning at 10 o'clock, immediately after this press statement. We in the minority wish to state it clear that we will remain committed to ensuring greater scrutiny and will spare no effort to proceed to protect the public purse. In line with this, we are taking part in the vetting processes so that at the very minimum, we can scrutinize the President's decision in bringing up these nominees. Again, the minority will not subscribe to a consensus vote at the level of the Appointment Committee. This will ensure that the matter is brought to the full House for a vote to be taken in secret. And I can assure you that we in the NDC stand united with our number of 136 for this expedition. We are calling on the following. 1, immediate reduction in the numbers of ministers from the current level of 86 to 65. 2, the merger of the following ministries. For example, 1, information and communications to be merged. 2, transport and railways to be merged. Chieftaincy and tourism, 3. 4, sanitation and local government, among others. And then agric and fisheries, if possible.
But Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin says the minority should not lend themselves to be micromanaged by their party, describing their position as one without basis in law.
Let me state that the rejection or otherwise of a nominee is constitutional. A general secretary of a political party cannot sit in his party office and issue a press statement for purpose of political expediency, direct members of parliament to reject the nominees of the president. It's a sign of disrespect to parliament, a sign of disrespect to the speaker, and clearly what the NDC is telling Ghanaians is that they don't respect the constitution, and that the new leadership they just announced is not a type of leadership with ability to respect the constitution, that they have no thinking caps. They themselves would be acting on the dictates of the party headquarters. Well, history is observing what they are doing. Posterity will make reference to their conduct. And we think that clearly they are trying to obstruct due process and obstruct the work of this government. If you believe that government should downsize. There's a way to go about it. You don't stampede the government. We have vacancy at the Ministry of Agric. Is the NDC saying that Agric Ministry is not important? We have vacancy at the Ministry of Trade. Are they saying that that is not important? And chieftaincy. The government has its own priorities. And the government determines its direction because it has the mandate of the people. You may have your views, respected. It is expected in a democracy that we should have disagreement. But you don't use such disagreement to stampede the government. So I don't know why they've come to sit here. When you have a prejudiced mind, what are you coming to do? To ask questions to embarrass them, then go ahead and say that we have failed you. Is that what they are here to do? Well, I'm disappointed in the NDC. And if they really want to portray themselves as a party ready to take the reins of government, then they should behave well.